Don't click off. I know it's an empty looking room, but in this video, I'm going to show you how you can take your plant trimmings, put them in these little tiny pots, put them on a rack right here, and make some money. So this video is going to be all about me setting up my new immersed plant growing rack, I guess is what you would call it. And I'll go through how I sell these plants and why I'm going immersed instead of submerged. Alright, so if you've been around the channel before, you know that I used to have a 40-gallon aquarium. I'll put some footage up here if I can find it. And in this aquarium, I was growing all kinds of stem plants and, epiphytes and just kind of whatever I had trimming from other tanks. And I would put all that stuff in this 40-gallon. Kind of made a little aquascape with it and et cetera, et cetera. But just like any other aquarium, it's a lot of maintenance. And the biggest problem with having a submerged grow out system like that is, of course, algae. You get algae on your plants. You also get pest snails on your plants. I don't call them pest snails. I love snails. But, when people buy plants, they don't want to get snails with them. So growing plants in an aquarium is a great way to get started. If you have an extra one laying around or even your current one that you're enjoying every day, you can take those little snippings. You can put a little band around them, a little weight band, and you can sell them to your local fish store, make a little extra money, buy some fish food. I already have a video on the channel on that, so not going to go through it too much. I'll put a link to that video in the description as well as a card at the end in case you want to see how I used to do it back in the day. But as I started watching a lot more YouTube about fish aquariums and buying plants and all of that, there's one common denominator you're going to see with all of these plant companies all around the world. They grow their plants immersed. Now, the reason they do that is because you're not going to have any pest snails you got to deal with when you ship them to the customer. It's a lot cheaper to do it that way in the long run because you have free CO2 available in the air versus pumping it into your aquarium. You don't need as much equipment, really. You're not going to have an algae issue. You probably are going to use less water, which is what you're going to see in the way my system's set up. And just all in all, it's a lot easier. You can snip your trimmings, put them back in another little pot, propagate them a lot easier than you can with a submerged system. So now that you know what it's all about, we're going to go through step by step how I'm setting this up. Well, kind of step by step because I already built the rack. I'm assuming you can read directions and put together a metal rack system that you buy on Amazon. Again, link to description. Link will be in the description for all of the products you see in this video. So if you want to replicate exactly what I'm doing, feel free to do so, and I'll send you links to my affiliate page where you can get all this stuff and support the channel at the same time. So we have our rack set up, but what we're really going to need to grow plants is water and light. So let's take care of the lighting issue first. I want to put the lights in here kind of permanent, and the way I'm going to do that is hang them by their little brackets on each shelf here. So let me show you the lights that I got, the ones that I personally recommend, and well, let's get into building the system. Now, because my rack system here has 4 shelves, I need 4 lights, and my favorite light is the Haiger HG75, and I bought 4 of these bad boys. Yes, they're not sponsored. I actually purchased these. Again, link in description. I have used a multitude of different growing lights for my aquariums, and the HG75 by Haiger is the best one that I have found to, not grow algae in your aquarium and grow plants very well. So I figured it should work well for my rack system here, immersed. Now, you might have got to my channel outside of the aquarium hobby, and if you found this video that way, we typically use these lights if you're not familiar with them. Just a flat panel LED. This is the HG75 light that I like so much. The reason I really like it is because the control box, while it has a whole bunch of different features on it, I don't use those features. I just like to put it on a timer. My timer is a smart outlet, and it clicks on when I want it on, and it clicks off when I don't want it on. And if I have a power outage, because it's Wi-Fi based, it remembers its setting. When the Wi-Fi comes back on, it resumes its schedule. If it doesn't, I can just get on my phone anywhere I have a Wi-Fi connection and turn them on if I'm, say, at work. So that's why I like these lights, and I've had good success with them, and that's why I'm using these lights. Now, of course, these lights come with big power bricks right here, so you're going to have to plug a bunch of them in. Power strip's going to be required. I have one right down there mounted to the wall, which you'll probably see in the video. And the only other thing that comes in the box are these little metal feet. And there's nothing else on the end of this light here to mount it. All you got is these little holes right here. And then you slide the bracket in like that. So how am I going to get this bracket here onto this shelf? Let me show you. It's about time we got a different camera angle anyway, huh? All right, you are looking lengthwise down the shelving unit here. And what I want to do is kind of hang these lights underneath here, pardon the noise, hang these lights under like this. But you can see it's a solid plate here. How am I going to get these things to hang? Well, you could turn the bracket upside down. If you wanted to, you could go like this. You could put a little wire around there if you wanted to. These shelves, by the way, just sit on the top like that. So there's multiple different ways to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bracket out of here. Hopefully the camera's in focus for this whole thing. And I'm going to drill 2 holes right here in this rack rail. And then I'll be able to slide this bracket through those 2 little holes and into the light like so. And then boom, we have a way to hang the light, and we can remove the light if one goes bad very easily. And we just have 2 little tiny holes right there. Not too, I don't know, bad to look at. You will see something like this kind of sticking out of the edge of each rack, but who cares? It's obviously a plant growing system, not some Parade of Homes decorative shelf. So that's the boring part of the video out of the way. You kind of see what's going on here. I'm not going to waste your time with you watching me drill tiny holes in metal rails. So I'm going to get all of the lights mounted and lit up, and then we'll get to the fun part, which is showing you the plants I've already started growing and what kind of tray unit I'm using to get these things on the shelf. So let me get this built, and then we'll be back with some plant action. Plant action, what the heck? So while I was going about assembling my first one here, I figured some people may want a little tutorial on how I'm getting these centered in the rack. Obviously, we want them centered. So first thing I did here with this mark is I found the center of the rail by measuring these posts right here. That's pretty obvious. But then how do I know where to get these 2 dots? Well, so you can see I've got a mark, and this is on both sides here. I've already marked the center of all of these rails. Then I took the center of my light here, which I think you can see the 2 holes where the bracket goes into the light. I found the center of that, and I can line these 2 lines up. Is that even coming in on camera? No, there's a reflection. Hang on. All right, so we have the center of the light and the center of the railing on the rack. Those are lined up. Don't mind that this is, off center here. I'm just lining up the 2 tips. And then I can see where the 2 holes go. I want them kind of right in the middle of the flat part of this rail. So all I do then, just put a little dot right there. Boom, boom. When I drill the holes now, I know it's going to be lined up. And then boom, the lights are installed. Let's see what it looks like. All right, guys, there we are. Look at this thing. Got all of the lights mounted here, and whew, boy, she is a bright one, which is exactly what we want for growing plants. Now, I will show you here just kind of again how we set this up. Let me scroll down to a better one here. Very hard to get the right lighting angle on this, but I think you can see here how we have the bracket installed. I have it upside down so that it fits flush with the rail here, as opposed to hanging down like over here. So we just put the bracket kind of upside down. And then if we go underneath, you can see how the bracket just goes into the light, and the light is now suspended in each rack. Ran the cords, semi-neat down the side here to our power strips right there. You could probably do a little bit better power strip setup, maybe mount it up here on the wall so it's out of the way of the little trays we're going to use. But for now, I just want to get it installed. It is getting late, and I want to get this video done. Not because I don't love you guys, but because I'm old and tired and ready to go to bed. And then finally down here at the wall socket, you can see we have the 2 smart outlets there. They click on and off to my set time, and it turns the entire rack on or off. Up top, by the way, we'll get to that. That is packing and shipping and what do you want to call it? Potting materials and stuff like that. Just all stored in one little system. All right, now for the fun stuff. Let's go show you the little potted plants that I've been experimenting with, and proof of concept that it works, and the little trays that are going to fit perfectly in the rack. Measurement, what do they say? Measure twice, buy once, or something like that. I guess it's measure twice, cut once for carpenters, but measure twice, buy once. They will fit in there. Let's go take a look at it. So temporarily here on the dining room table is where I've been storing these things for just a couple of days while I get this whole system built up. These are the trays. They are not very sturdy, so don't think you're getting some high quality thing here. They're thin plastic, but for what we need with just a little water in the bottom, they're going to work out fine. They come with little lids like you see here, little clear lids that go on top of them, and you get them in packs of 10 on Amazon for super cheap. I don't remember exactly how much. I'll put the price on the screen right now for the 10 pack. I got 2 of them. That gives me enough trays to do pretty much whatever I want. You can see I've been propagating some moss and stuff in here. It's not doing great because it hasn't had high lighting for a couple of days, but you can see some little trays here that I've already kind of started. These are plant trimmings that came right out of my aquarium, and as long as you put the lid on to keep the leaves humid, they will change to their immersed state. These are now submerged currently, submerged growth, but they will change. Here's a rotala you can see is a good example. The rotala is definitely in its submerged state, but it hasn't died in a couple of days because it has enough humidity keeping the little lids on. Anyway, I'm getting off track. These little pots right here, they fit 4 wide in these trays and they go 6 deep. So do the math on that. And that's how many plants you can get in each tray. Now, once they actually start their immersed growth, I will take the lids off and then they have full access to all the CO2 they want. And you get super growth, kind of like this down here. So this is the 40-gallon grow out aquarium that I had mentioned previously in the video, and it was the test bed to see if this would work. I just had a light kind of on top of it, and you can see down in here that we have the immersed growth plants. For example, this is Alternanthera reniki, super red, and it is doing great. There's some money wart, I think it is, down there, and it's doing fine in its immersed state. Here's some cryptocoreans you can see. They're doing just fine. So as we kind of scroll over here, you can see the proof of concept does work. Even down to these little tiny Anubias plants. These Anubias were just snippets of rhizomes. They had no leaves on them at all. And you can see here, they are sprouting leaves and they will be growing nice little Anubias plants like back here. So what I'm going to do is start moving these trays over. Obviously, I have more trays here so that I can put like just a tray of Anubias and just a tray of Rotala, etc., etc. Here's a tray of Anubias, by the way, to give you kind of an idea how this looks. Look at that. Gorgeous. Super simple. All right. I'm going to get these trays into the racking system here, get it all set up off camera because I need to just get it done. Now we're all set up with the trays on each shelf here in the racking system, and it's looking pretty good, just as I intended. Let's just kind of start up at the top here and show you kind of what we got going on. So for example, got little S. repens in here. There's the S. repens. There's some older growth S. repens and some newer growth S. repens in the back. Now you can see that most of them have the lids on there just to keep everything nice and moist the way they like it. Most of these are tropical plants, so they like it humid. But some of them, one, they're too tall, or two, they've already adapted to being completely immersed. So just going down through, you know, real quick, you've got some crypts. Here's like the Anubias and stuff. I've separated them out now into the colors. We got golden, we got Barteri, we have Hastifolia and Nana in there. It's whatever, you kind of get the idea here. Our moss is down here on the bottom. Most of our mosses are down there. Keep those nice and moist. And really, that's kind of it as far as the rack system goes. Now, there's many different ways you could do the trays and stuff. This is just the way that I do it. So, again, if you want to just copy this system, you could even get extra shelves, I suppose, put another shelf in the middle and then more lights, and you could really kind of double this pretty easily, which I may do in the future. You just buy a whole nother rack system and don't use the legs. Now, we could just grow out the plants we have here and then sell them, but that's not really sustainable if you want to do a plant business. So what we're going to do now is show you how I propagate the plants both from the aquarium and from your immersed growth system when you need to duplicate them, like these guys here when they get too big. Also helps to fill in your little pots. So little quick demo on this. So here's everything you need to propagate and sell plants. You need these little pots, you need some rock wool, and of course plants. Now I always recommend that you wear some rubber gloves for this because the rock wool, it kind of is like fiberglass when you get it on your skin. It's not fiberglass, it's some kind of fiber rock, but at any rate, it acts like fiberglass and you'll be itchy as all can be for a couple of days. So invest in a box of gloves. Again, links to all of this will be in the description, so it makes it really easy for you. I have got the most cost-effective of all products, so you can do this as cheap as possible. So just follow the links, buy all that stuff, and you'll be able to do this easy peasy. So what we're going to do here first is we're going to grab some rock wool. Now you can get larger squares here, like 2 inches, and I used to do that, but you have to slice them with a razor blade or something so you can spread it apart and put the plant root in there. It's just kind of a pain, very time consuming. So get the kit that I have in there. It comes with the pots and the rock wool, so follow the link again. Get this kit. I found it to work the best, and the rock wool sinks as soon as you put it in water. Some of this rock wool floats. You got to squeeze all the air out. It's a real pain in the butt. So anyway, tried to make this easy for you. You know, use my links if you want to, or figure it out the hard way, I guess. So take 2 of these squares, which makes it super easy. You just tear 2 squares off. We're going to grab a plant. Let's say some S. repens right here. We take the S. repens. We spread the rock wool apart. We stick the S. repens in there. We grab a little pot. Come on, little pot. Grab a little pot. And this kit, 2 of those fits right into that little pot. Look at that. And you're done. Then you find your tray. You put it in the tray. Look, it sinks immediately. Soaks up all the water. Boom. It's that easy. Let's do a couple more examples just to kind of be repetitive and make sure that you see the different plants. It all works kind of the same way. So here we have some Hydrocotyl pennatifida, and this is another example, like the S. repens, of taking a trimming from your aquarium and potting it right away to transform it from submerged growth to immersed growth. So again, we just take a pot right here. We grab our rock wool, 2 squares. We take our trimming from our plant here. Sometimes you need to separate your rock wool here to get the roots in there if the roots are a little longer. If they're super long, trim them, but you can just rip the squares apart, sandwich your plant roots in between the 2 halves of the rock wool. We have some scragglers here. I'm just going to snip those off because we're going to plant them in another piece of rock wool. So we'll take the extra pieces off. Now we have our pennatifida. Again, squeeze the rock wool a little bit, jam it down into the pot all the way to the bottom. Boom, you've just propagated a trimming from your aquarium. But what about immersed growth stuff, right? Let's say you've got some plants growing out of your aquarium, just like this guy here. This is a cardinal plant that went wild and got to the surface, and now it's been grown, literally immersed. So this is the easiest way to propagate. We don't have to really do too much of anything as far as converting the plant or letting it convert. I'm just going to rip a piece of this off here. We're going to find a chunk. Let's see here. I'm going to make these ready to sell immediately. So we're going to find a nice bunch of them here, or a nice bunch of the plant, like so. And go ahead and snip it, pull it apart. Did you guess what to do now? Pretty simple. Grab the rock wool, stick that little guy in there, like so. You guessed it. Grab a pot, jam that little guy in there, put it in your water, and guess what? I can call up the fish shop right now and say, hey, I've got a couple of cardinal plants to sell, and these are ready to go right away because they've already been grown immersed. Here's another more extreme example. This is a stem from the cardinal plant that went to full flower bloom, but you see it has little shoots that came off. So, you know, real quick, same deal. You can take a little shoot, or in this case, I'm going to take 2 because I have so many cardinal plants and my lights are turning off. That's great. The aquarium lights, that is. Let me get some back on. There we go. I want to make sure we have enough light for you guys. Got my 2 trimmings. Just stick my 2 trimmings here. Now, you know, different plants are going to respond differently to these, you know, no root trimmings. But cardinal plant, very, very easy to propagate, and does pretty well for resale too because they're pretty and they're not commonly sold at most of your aquarium shops. They're sold online very easily, but aquarium shops don't normally order them. So if they can get them local from you, they like to do that. Boom, there we go. 1 little potted cardinal plant. This one I would grow out, right, until it gets a little bit bigger. If you already have a tray of plants that is growing too tall for you and it's not bushy enough yet, you want to make sure that you fill these pots out because, you know, your fish shop or even your clients, if you sell online, let me turn this brightness down. Right, your clients probably aren't going to be happy with a scraggly old plant here. They want a nice bushy plant. So what we do, even though you can see this one's growing really well with the roots, we're going to force it to bush out, same as you would in your aquarium. So I'm going to trim this guy, let's say about here, and another trimming, say about here. Then take these 2 trimmings, and that's right, we're going to stick it in some rock wool. Now you can see at this point, I'm not really putting them too deep. I'm just putting kind of the little root nubs right there down into that rock wool. Grab a pot. And this is how sustainably you keep your growing trays producing plants for you, and you get better quality plants in your tray as this process continues over the next couple of weeks. They grow pretty quick because they are immersed, and all you got to do is provide them with nutrients. Let me show you the easiest way to provide the plants with nutrients and not have to buy a single thing if you already own an aquarium. So here we've got an aquarium, and that aquarium's got fish in it and snails and shrimp and all kinds of stuff, and we feed it, and of course the plants are growing in this aquarium well because there's lots of nutrients and nitrates and all kinds of stuff that plant loves, and we need to do a water change on this aquarium anyway. So I'm going to grab one of our 5-gallon buckets here, we're going to set it down, going to start a siphon, and we are getting now what I consider free nutrient water for our plants. We don't need to buy fertilizers or any of that stuff. Now, if you fertilize your aquarium anyway, then that's fine. You know, you're going to have ferts in there. If you want to fertilize this water a little bit more for your plants and your growing trays, you can do that also. I choose to just use the aquarium water, keep the cost down, because these little guys are supposed to make me money, not cost me money. So the less expensive way we can propagate them, or let's be frank, the cheaper we can be, the more money we can make, the more profit we will obtain. So I just use aquarium water. Easy. Now, once we have our aquarium water, we take our bucket, we use the top shelf from our rack system, which is very convenient for not only storing your products, like your shipping stuff, but putting a bucket up there to have a nice gravity-fed siphon. Take the siphon hose of your choice, do the siphon method of your choice. Mine is the mouth to hose method. And then we just fill our trays. Now, when we do the water change in the trays, what we do is the same thing. We siphon the water out of these trays into a bucket on the floor, and then repeat the process to fill it back up. Plug it with your finger there, move to the next tray, and that's it, guys. This is how we fertilize and get the amazing plant growth at what I consider no cost. Alright guys, we're almost done and ready to make money, but the last thing we got to do is get a lighting schedule for these plants. Now, because it is immersed and you don't have to worry about algae, you could do a simple 12-hour on, 12-hour off cycle. But I have found a little bit better system, and that is the 2 photo period system, which simply means we're going to trick the plants every 24 hours into thinking that it's 2 days instead of 1. So we're going to do 6 hours on, 6 hours off, 6 hours on, 6 hours off. Now, try and set this schedule that matches your schedule. For example, you know, if it's in a different room, you could probably have your lights come on at 6 a.m. even if you don't wake up at 6 a.m. because it won't bother you or wake you up. But you also don't want them on too long in the evening, which means they would turn off at midnight. So, you know, kind of play with it, see which way you want to go. But that's how I do mine for maximum plant growth. Also, make sure it's completely dark at night during those photo periods. If there's ambient light and stuff during the dark time, I mean, it won't hurt the plants, but you'll see some stunted growth. They'll be reaching for light overnight and grow leggy and stuff. So that's how I do our lighting. And finally, the fun part, let's sell them and make some money. The easiest way to do this and cost-effective way to do this is to contact your local fish stores. Most of the time, your water is the same as the water at the fish shop if you're using city water, so they like to buy local plants because they tend to not melt as bad in their aquariums, and therefore they can sell them a lot easier. For example, my particular fish store, they try and sell the plants the same week they get them, because if not, there's a chance they can melt, especially with immersed growth plants. So they want to put them in there, try and turn them over that weekend, which means they'll probably buy them from you sometime around the Wednesday, Thursday time period. At least that's when my plant store, that's when my local fish store wants to buy my plants, about midweek. So go down and contact your local fish store, but don't just walk in and be like, hey, y'all want to buy some plants? That generally doesn't work. Go in like a professional. They will be treated like a professional and more likely to get their business. How do you do that? Very simple. Make an Excel spreadsheet with all of the plants that you have on there. And if you're good with pricing, then you can try and price them yourself, but you might put yourself in a pickle and they may just say no if your prices are too high and they get them cheaper from an outside supplier. So what I like to do is I just put MKT for pricing, and that's market price. That simply means that as the plants become available and not available, prices fluctuate throughout the entire aquascaping industry, not just your local area. So I just put market price on there, and I've never complained about the amount of money that they give me when I bring in a box full of plants. So have your Excel spreadsheet. In the top of the Excel spreadsheet, of course, have your contact info, your email, your phone number, direct line probably for your cell, and make sure that they have a way to call you. But they're probably not going to call you. You got to do the legwork if you want to make money. So what I do is I email my local fish store every Sunday night. That way, Monday morning, they wake up, they got the email, the spreadsheet is attached with the available plants only on the list and the quantity available that they can select to purchase. Then they just put in the box next to there how many of each they want. They send that form back to me. I call them to find out what day they would like them delivered. I show up, I give them plants, they give me store credit or a check depending on whether I want money or I need something like fish food. So just kind of go in it as a professional, let them know, hey, I'm growing high quality plants that are snail free, they're algae free, they're already potted. The pots I use high quality rock wool so they sink immediately in your aquarium. Believe me, they will appreciate that. And just, say if I could do some business with you guys, I would appreciate it. Try to start on store credit first before you ask for a check. They generally like that better because they're getting your plants, which they're going to make money on, and then pay you money that you're going to give back to them in the store. So it's a great way to grow and expand your hobby or grow your business to the point where you can start saying, hey guys, I'd actually prefer a check this week if that's okay. And you start getting into that and do it whatever way you want. Now, if you don't have a local fish store or you want another way to sell your plants like I'm going to do, you could also start a website. I don't have it available right now, but you guys have been asking me to get the website back up and running or some way for you guys to buy my plants. So I do appreciate that support, and I will be creating a website. Now, this costs money. There's multiple different servers. I'm not going to get into how to start a website or any of that kind of stuff. Just make sure you're taking high quality photos, use a photo box, or hang a white sheet or white paper on a wall or something like that so you can get some nice crisp photos. Go to any of your favorite plant websites and you're going to see how they do it. Just copy the way that, don't copy their images, copy the way they take the pictures. Use your real plants, right? Just take a picture of the tray too. I mean, it really shows that they are really your plants. Anyway, start a website. You can sell them that way as well. For those that are asking for my website, I think I know what it's going to be, but I can't tell you right now because I haven't secured the domain name yet. But it is coming very soon. So thanks for asking, and that'll be coming up shortly. So that's really going to do it, guys. I've got my arm on a chair for a casual outro effect. If you have any questions, just drop a comment. I try and reply to everything. I think I covered pretty much all of it. Again, links to everything in the description. They are Amazon affiliate links, so I do appreciate it if you use them. I get a couple of pennies from Amazon. You know how this thing works. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for watching the video. Good luck in growing your plants and expanding your hobby, maybe even making a little money. Until the next video, guys, happy cultivation. Happy cultivation. Whatever. Just end the video.